So hello and welcome. Today is going to be all about sacred geometry and universal patterns. We're joined by Gregory and Gail from Metaforms. Welcome.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. We're so excited to play with you and share your forms with the Stargate community. We have a few different tools here that we'll be showing you guys and playing with. And we're also going to, Gregory and Gail are going to explain how these function, but we'll also be energetically connecting to them. So welcome, everyone. The Stargate is channeled sacred geometry that Prageet brought through in 1989. But we don't actually know much about sacred geometry. So today, we're actually going to be diving into an exploration because Gregory and Gail have really devoted so much of their life's work to studying sacred geometry. And so there's going to be a presentation, and we're so excited to have you guys.
And Gregory and Gail have been making the smaller stargates, the personal stargates, for over 30 years. And Gregory and I were just talking the other day when I first connected with him. I was actually living in an RV at the time, or caravan for those English people. And I drove over there just to connect. I heard he made these forms, and I asked him, well, could you make a small Stargate for me? And we actually got some little bamboo sticks, the things they use cooking turkeys and things. And I made one. And he used that as the template. So welcome, guys. It's really nice to be with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting number of years and how we've all evolved with what we're here for. And yeah, we've got some great history together, don't we?
You know, it's really a testament to the clarity, the focus, just being able to work together for 30 years. There are so many people that were there doing things. I mean, I used to make forms for Droomvelo when he started too. And it's like we've been connected, always worked things out, always felt good together. It's, I think, a testament to what we're both tuning into, which is that higher field of consciousness where we, all of us, want to make a difference in the world and know we have to exhibit that difference in all the little things we do. Or what we're doing for the public doesn't make any difference if you can't be true to that love and consciousness in your personal private moments. And that's always been there, Prageet. So I enjoy that. It's one of the few, to be honest. There's so many people that go up and down and back and forth. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I know Gregory's got a slideshow, a presentation, and I'm really kind of keen to see that. And I'm sure we'll have questions. So if you don't mind if we interrupt every now and again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please. I mean, yes. Say, hey, wait a minute. So if you're ready, or Jules,
we wanted to energy
ask
first.
everyone to connect in with us and bring the energy field.
First, we're going to connect into the mystery and the magic that is sacred geometry, because sacred geometry is sacred because it has the ability to hold an energy field. That's something that Alcazar has said. So we have some different forms that you guys have made. And before we dive into this, we want to invite the community watching right now. We have live about 293 people. So we're going to invite everyone just to take a moment. Close your eyes and connect energetically.
As we do every morning with the Into the Void, just connect. And we have people from all over the world tuning in. There's Israel, Brazil, France, Italy, Germany, Florida, California, Poland, Russia, Norway, Ireland, Vancouver, Ireland, Sebastopol, Brazil, Woodstock, Des Moines, Italy, Scotland, France, Oregon, more from California, more from Florida, Massachusetts. Just connect, feel the energy. Washington State, more from Brazil, Canada, New Zealand, Greece, South Africa, feel. Mexico, London, UK, Virginia, Netherlands, Utah, San Jose. There's even somebody from Shasta.
So just feel the effect of the whole energy field as we bring our focus, our presence, our intention here in this moment.
More people telling us where they're from. Bermuda, Denmark, Chicago. Yay.
Cool. So one of my favorite tools that you guys have introduced us to is this one. Will you tell everyone how it works?
Well, I have a slide in my slideshow.
Oh, let's just demonstrate it now then.
Okay. So,
Jill's something with their toys.
I'm excited.
all right. So the essence is, as you just mentioned with Alcazar, when you have the perfect elements brought together, they can create a field, an energy field that helps to transcend the physical 3D dimension that we live in. So what this is doing is when I pass it over someone in circles, figure eights, it starts to shift their energy field. It can literally open chakras, it can clear out energy, it can move energy through. And because the body is, as I was saying to someone yesterday, energetically, you look like a box of donuts. All the chakras are energy vortexes going in and out. Your whole body has a stem of a vortex going either up or either down. And this affects those vortexes and creates an order and a balance to them. And something that I remember doing with both of you that was really fun was I would bring it up in front, and it acts as also a filter to shift the energy of sound, your intent, because I'll talk more about that during the slideshow. But for now, experience me saying love, joy, love, joy. When I'm talking through here, can you feel the difference than when I've moved it away from my mouth?
100%.
Yeah, I can feel that.
It's like, why are you? I mean, this is over such a distance. And
Yeah.
I feel it too. When I take it away from me, it feels flat. I feel flat. And in a way, I feel diminished. And what geometry does by bringing these higher energies in is it takes us to the bigger part of ourselves and fills us out more. I mean, we're much more than this little character. And we'll talk more about that with the slideshow.
Yeah.
You know,
Brilliant.
we would take this and put it in front of a microphone when we were just recording audios, and we would speak through it. And recently, I was listening to one of those audios, and I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, that sound is so much better than what we're getting with some of the other things that we're using right now with our technology." So it's a really remarkable tool to be able to put music, sound, anything through it that will expand the quality of it on a real deep multi-dimensional level.
And once a scientist that we were working with that did a lot of research for us, her back was really out one day. And what we did is we held this in front of her spine where she was facing away from us. We took a drum, one loud smack on the drum, that energy going through here put her back in alignment again.
Oh,
And she was no longer in pain. So much of what we experience as pain is blocked energy. And to be able to work with helping that energy flow on a physical, emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual level, that's really key to us having a fulfilling and healthy life.
very cool. I remember when you first showed us this, you said, okay, I'm going to show you the difference. I'm sending you my love. And then you said, I'm sending you my love. It was like,
So I'm looking forward to this slideshow.
we have one more thing.
Okay.
Wait, there was one thing we were talking about before that we might want to play with right now, and that is behind us, between Gregory and I, there's this rotating geometry that we call the 5G solution. And currently, we've got a form here that you'll see a little bit about in the slideshow. It's called the sphere of health. Well, we can move this and we can place a Stargate underneath of that. So how about, Gregory, would you?
Okay.
Greg's going to go back behind the chair for just a quick moment. And we'll take off this and just notice what this feels like right now. And
so this is A.
And now we're going to raise it up a little bit to accommodate the Stargate. And we're going to put the Stargate underneath of it.
So we were playing with Jules, but you'll get to experience this for the first time.
And see what you experience with this. Okay. I'm certainly feeling quite a potent energy.
Yeah, I can feel that shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that in itself is such a remarkable understanding for all of us in working together, because what you are doing, bringing these people from all over the world, where we're able to work with some of these energies and be able to, if you can feel it there and we can feel it here, and people all over have that experience, what we can do to start aligning the world for the good of all, for that love that we're wanting to experience to be expressed throughout the world. As we all know in our hearts, it's possible. And this is showing us that we can start working with these tools, these issues. And that's what I feel this Stargate is, and all the things we build. They're tools that, like a hammer, you could build a house, but when you're done, you're the one that built the house. But to try to do it without, that tool, without that hammer, would be very difficult. So that's where we're being supported at this time, with a level of technology that is now life affirmative.
Yeah, I'm just putting out a couple of the comments that people are writing.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is really strong. That feeling is almost like oceanic, and it's so different than the Stargate itself, like on its own. So it's interesting how these like synergies happen.
Wow.
And,
So-
you know, part of it is the wave.
Yeah.
It's like everything is a breath in and a breath out. The wave comes up and it goes out. This is the cyclic nature of when you have things moving. You're working with cycles. You're working with the vortex. You're working with time. Time is something that we sometimes leave out of our equations because we think it's a linear aspect of reality that is really nothing to do with us, but it's everything to do with us. The way we resonate with the larger cycles and the smaller cycles. And when we create a rhythm in sound, you know how time plays with sound through the rhythm, but you can do that with geometry by spinning it and creating the rhythm. And actually, the cycle that it's going at is very important in what harmonic we're tuning into. So anyway, we
Amazing.
I'm glad they're feeling it in
All over
Portugal.
Portugal and Kenya and
You know,
all of,
Very cool. Yeah.
so
even Arizona.
so now we all need to hold hands through the world and have the world start to dance. All right. So should we start with the slideshow of what we're talking about?
Yeah, let's dive
Sacred
into it.
geometry?
Take it.
Oh, okay. So there we go. Everything is 99.9999% pure energy. And only 0.000001% is what you see and touch. That's the stuff you trip over. That's the stuff you're sitting on right now. And it's such a small percentage of reality. But that small percentage, it follows the energetic template of what precedes it. And that's the energy that we're talking about with sacred geometry, because that's what these divine patterns are doing. They are bringing the energy into the physical, and we can see what that energy looks like by looking at the physical dimension. And it's a universal language. And what that means is that I could go to the other side of the universe and communicate with a race that we didn't speak the same language, but sacred geometry would be our language, because number and pattern and rhythm and cycle is connected everywhere. It's the way galaxies form. It starts with atoms and molecules and moves through every aspect of our reality. Even DNA that you're seeing now follows very strict patterns of geometry, as well as our sun, the moon, and the galaxies connect together in octagonal relationships. And the 5 platonic solids, when I said octagonal, this is the octagon, the octahedron. And an octagon is a flat piece, but the octahedron is the 3-dimensional form. So if I take all the platonic solids, there are only 5 of them. And the way that we can define them as platonic solids is that they all have identical faces all around. They're all the same size, all the same angles, and the edges are all the same. And there are only 5 geometries that fit this description. And they were named after the Greek philosopher Plato, because he was using them in the Timaeus when he was talking about the building blocks of creation. However, Plato was preceded 500 years by Pythagoras, used them, and they found carvings of them that are 10,000 years old. But how old are they really? And I'm going to show you something now where you take all the angles on the surface and add it together. And then you see that a tetrahedron 720, an octahedron 1440, and add them all up times 100, and you get the diameter of the sun in miles. Now, if you take a different set with the tetrahedron, the octahedron, and now a cube, and a icosahedron, add those up, and that, when you change it into miles, is the diameter of the Earth. And if you were to take an idealized Earth and smush it into a smooth ball, it would be exactly 7,920 miles. And also here you see the cube, the hexahedron, is equal to the diameter of the moon. And that's 99.99% accurate. So what we're looking at is the fact that these geometries are idealized forms of creation. They existed before the moon, before the sun and the earth, before creation. It's the divine archetype, the pattern that's being used to define the way creation forms. And we see it all around us. And all of these numbers always reduce to 9. What that means is when you take the diameter of the earth and you add 9 and 7 is 16, plus 2 is 18, and the 8 and the 1 add up to 9. All sacred numbers reduce to 9. It's the completion number for this reality. And archetypes are the structural components of this reality. They arise from consciousness. They're immutable and universal in nature. And that's what we're working with when we're working with our tools, when we're building these geometries. You see, measure is a harmonic of time, is a harmonic of space. What that means is that's how everything in universe starts creating relationship with each other through resonance. When people are saying they feel these energies all over the world, they're feeling the resonance that we're starting. We can resonate together and then energy flows. So in this case, you see that the diameter of the moon, when you change that into time, 2,160 years is 1/12 of the great year, which means it's one sign of the zodiac. So we're moving now into Aquarius out of Pisces, and each one of these signs lasts 2,160 years. And of course, a cube has that many degrees in it. Again, everything connecting through resonance. And when you take something like the cube, which is equal to the moon, and add it, say, to the earth and the diameter of the earth, you have a new number. And that number is the geometry that you saw underneath this form behind me when we first started, We call it the sphere of health, and it has 10,080 degrees. So if you were to take an icosahedron, which is 3,600, and add it to a dodecahedron with 6,480, you get 32 faces and 10,080 degrees, which when you turn each one of those angles into a circle, so the 6 great circles there, that's how we create the sphere of health. And that's also taking that angular aspect of the lower form and bringing it into a much smoother, more feminine expression, which is where we're going with so many things today, working with the feminine. And so the sphere of health, if we go into Genesis, everything is created in 7 days. That's a sacred period of time. And 7 days times the hours times the minutes gives us 10,080 minutes. Are you seeing how universe starts working with time? So when we work with certain speeds, certain cycles, we're working with certain geometries, we're working with certain measures. And the measure is just not the mile, but the foot, the inch, the way we're working, the sacred cubit. We can draw upon measures that relate to resonance of geometry. The first day begins with light, and the light that we see is only 0.0035% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. You see that the entire energy spectrum that's all around us, the quantum packet of energy that holds and moves everything, is called the photon. And it's the carrier of everything from radio waves to gamma waves and everything in between. And the interesting thing is that just a few years ago, 2 Polish scientists created an image of a single photon. And what they found was that photon really is an image of something called the star tetrahedron. And that's the foundation particle, the energy particle of our entire fractal universe, a universe that goes through geometry after geometry. And it's the carrier of all the energy in this physical dimension. If you look at the star tetrahedron and break down the number of degrees on its surface, you'll find it has 4,320 degrees. And when you look at the sun, the radius of the sun is 432,000 miles. And when you square 432, you get 186,624 miles per second, which is within 0.2% of what Einstein figured as the speed of light. So time, measure, and working with 432, this is where sometimes you see the discussion about sound in concert tuning middle A to 432. It's because it starts resonating with light. And these are all the factors of 432 on the left side. And if you look at some of these factors, like 10836, these are 2 triangles that are dealing with the phi ratio. Those spirals I showed you at the beginning with this sunflower and with the nautilus shell, those are built around these triangles. They're the only two triangles in existence that work with organic matter the way everything is created. And you can see the number 36, 72, 108. This is why those numbers become sacred, because they're all about life, because they're resonating with light. And light fractalizes into all the platonic solids, and the geometry you see on the right side we call the cosmic egg, because it holds all the platonic solids in one geometry. And at another time I can show you how the photon builds every geometry. Every single platonic solid comes from that photon. And then eventually it comes back into the center of the photon again, like a good fractal, and starts all over again. So this is the pyramid at Giza. And there are some remarkable things that they did. I'm not going to get into the argument of when it was built or who built it, but I am going to say that whoever did build it, they really knew what they were doing, because look at what was created. If you take the cross section of the pyramid and you have it so it's at the diameter of the earth, so that the height of the pyramid is exactly equal to our polar radius, then what happens is the parameter of the pyramid is equal to the Earth's circumference. And when you put the moon next to the Earth, so we're resting right on the Earth, if you could do that, then put the center of the pyramid in the center of the moon, the tip, what would happen is the base length would be exactly 7,920 miles. And this only works when the harmonic is 1 to 43,200. That's what they were using. And as you can see, they're doing this because it's resonant with the sun. It's resonant with what's going on with time in regards to the speed of light itself. It's also equal to 2 ages, which is what most sacred geometers have always talked about in this relationship. But I think because the pyramid is working with energy, and when you're working with energy, you want it to be harmonic, whatever you're building, with the photon, the speed of light, and the radius of the sun. Because when you're harmonizing with light as the fundamental of the entire energy spectrum, you're enhancing the energy flow. And, you know, when we're working with this geometry in the center, that's exactly 4,320 degrees. I didn't build it intentionally to be that. I just followed directions like you have all along, Prageet. You know, when we follow directions and then later on look at, oh my God, look at what we created. And it's just so. Anyway, I could jump into some more slides, but I just wanted to bring that out and talk about that.
Well, I mean, I was totally fascinated. I thought I'd have questions, but the way you describe it and explain it is really wonderful. And I think people are beginning, I certainly am beginning to feel a greater resonance with geometry. It's not, as Jules said, we don't know a lot about sacred geometry other than we work with it. And it's like, as you said, when you created it and you discovered, oh, wow, well, it was very, very similar to my experience with the Stargate. I didn't know what I was making. And
Right.
then started to use it. It was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me show you a few more things if you like at this time, okay?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So harmonizing with light, it's like I've never seen this shared before, this information. So it's so much fun to start getting it out there and seeing how it's all put together. So sound is really three-dimensional. It doesn't just go out in one direction, one plane. And these are images made by a man, Hans Jenny. They're called cymatic images. And what happened is they changed the frequency of a plate where sand was on the plate. And as they changed the frequency, the patterns changed. So they went, oh, different frequencies, different patterns. But what they weren't totally realizing or talking about was that the frequency shift was more than a pattern change. It was also a shift of perspective, because you see these two images are of one geometry, Metatron's cube. And Metatron's cube is three-dimensional. So you see what's going on here is Metatron's cube with the front point, and now with the face, and now with the edge. So it has three different perspectives of the three-dimensional geometry. And we use that in our pendants and the things that we build so that we can create a resonance. But that way you got to see how it's really a three-dimensional energy that sound is starting to show us with the cymatic images. And another thing to understand is that when you look at these images, the pattern you're seeing is where the energy isn't, which is kind of saying it backwards, but that means the black spaces are where the energy is vibrating so strongly that it pushes up all the other things into these lines. It's kind of like thinking if you were to have a room with two doorways in it, where you walk through that room all the time, but you never cleaned it. What would happen after a few years is you would see a path in that room where all the dust bunnies run to the corners and are on the edges of where you walk. Because where the energy goes, that's where it's the energetic void of where the physical collects around it. So physical matter is the null space. And in order to understand our physical reality, we need to start studying what isn't here. We need to start understanding the frequencies, the vibrations of the pure energy that's created all that we're bumping into. Because the geometry of sound can also be a carrier for intent. And that's what we were talking about before when we were holding up the woven spiral star. You see, the way that works, and I'm going to show you that now because it's really fun. You see, the woven spiral star, it has 9-inch arms to begin with. And 9 inches, as a completion number, everything breaks down to 9. And 9 in the form of inches is a harmonic of light. And so it's working with that light. The six-pointed star is a way of balancing energy. In when you image the chakras, the heart chakra is always a six-pointed star balancing the upper three with the bottom three. And in this case, we weave it so that it's not solid, but if you look closely at it, Jules, you'll see that it weaves over and under, over and under. By doing that, we start creating a vortex and spinning the energy as it moves through. And that's how energy moves through everything. And in the center, we've created a phi ratio spiral by working with the square, getting smaller, smaller, smaller in that phi ratio relationship. And so it's working with what's organic, what's alive. We have a six-pointed star in the center, which is out of silver, and that's also woven. And working with gold and working with silver, the gold is very important because it works interdimensionally, unlike many of the other metals. This is why it's always been so valuable to extraterrestrial beings, because they use it in time travel. They use it in moving through wormholes in space. Gold is a very sacred element. There are 7 magnets on the outside. We shift polarities back and forth to get the energies fluctuating. We have little clockwise spirals over each of the magnets that are in the center ring. We have another set of hexagonal magnets. The ring itself is woven out of 3 wires, which allows us to access a higher dimensional energy than just 2. It is exactly 21.625 inches long, which is the sacred cubit used by the Egyptians. And that's bringing in a certain light resonance. The magnets are hexagonal and they're natural hematite, and all of this is what is coming together. That's why this is working with energy. You know, all of these things are part of the whole that are creating an energy flow. And every now and then I'll have something that guidance will all of a sudden I'll be open to it going through a shift and having a different thing added on. So as I was saying earlier, movement in time creates a vortex and it strengthens the energy flow. And so in this case, we're taking the Metatron's cube that I showed you on our causal generator, spinning it at a very particular speed. There are antennas in there that are generating certain frequencies. And the 5G solution that's behind us, that's what the whole form is there that we're talking about. There's a stand that we sell with it if people want the sphere of health underneath. And there's something called a causal ring that we put at the bottom because that helps create that torus. The torus is like a donut, energy flowing in and flowing out. That's how all energy moves. It doesn't move in waves like up and down. It's moving in spirals, constantly moving in spirals. And if you look at a spiral from the side, it looks like the up and down wave. 2D versus 3D. We think 2D because we're 3D beings and we've mastered 2D. And so we use 2D to communicate. But really, it's 3-dimensional ideas we're trying to communicate. And this is now an image of a human being, metaphorically speaking. And by that, I mean only 10% of us shows up here. Like the iceberg, the other 90% of us is hidden, just like the iceberg. So to make this metaphor a little clearer, I'm going to flip it over, where now you see the 90% that's unseen, that happens first. That's the largest part of us that we have yet to expand into. And that's what's happening with all of these tools and the work that all of us are doing to connect more with soul, to move more towards source through all these higher dimensions. And as you get closer to the physical, you see the mental body, the fourth dimension of the astral body, that's where the colors of the emotions hang out, and then into the physical at the bottom. So here's another metaphor where we're looking at soul at the top, and on the right, you have the ship that is pumping air down to the human being down here. That's like the anakarana coming through from soul. We have that lifeline that is totally supporting us with all the energy, all the love, all the consciousness. We wouldn't exist without that connection. And yet, what's happening in our reality is that there are all kinds of disconnects going on. And if we start to understand that all the difficulties we're experiencing, all the diseases are blockages or denial, we have the strength to deny source, to turn it away. And when we do, we suffer because that's our energy source. That's where the love comes from, the consciousness, the ability to see things. So this statement, when the air was not swarming with electrical influences, it was easier to be human. You might think that I pulled this off a blog recently, but actually that was said over 100 years ago by Rudolf Steiner. And he said that only 25 years after Nikola Tesla lit up the World's Fair. So it's like already at that time, the few places in the world that electricity was flowing, a lot of it was DC, it was still confounding our fields. And as he was saying here, it was still challenging a century ago. And what he was referring to was the Industrial Revolution, because since the beginning of that time, when we started getting aligned with machines, when we started introducing more toxins, when we eventually brought in the electromagnetic fields, all these things in this lifeline to soul, in this lifeline to source, they all put kinks in that lifeline. That's what's happening today with the electromagnetic pollution, what's happening with the stress. And science is now acknowledging that when we are stressed, we catalyze disease in our body. Things stop working as well when we are stressed, when we go through negative emotions. There's only one negative emotion, and that's fear. And all the other negative emotions are different forms of fear. And when you're feeling love, when you're feeling joy, that's not coming from your body, that's coming from higher self. That's your soul nudging you, saying, do more of that. You know, as Alcazar would always say, through you, Prageet, you know, thank you for everything. Please bring me more. Thank you, and bring me more, because we have that option when we're open to bring more love through, to bring more joy through. And of course, the judgments separate us and them, you and me. We can't connect when there's judgment. And toxins are a big part of breaking everything down in our lives today, making it almost impossible to connect on our own without support, without something to help us start to resonate with. And that's what these pendants that you're wearing, that we're wearing, the new ones in the center, all these different things that are mentioned down here are in the center of it. It's literally, we have so many things going on inside the heart companion. And this is a picture of the old heart companion. The new heart companion has actually about 5 or 6 more antenna systems. It's really getting crowded inside right now. But this is just the mineral mixture that I spend a couple of days hand crushing, working with intent, working with focus, working with that higher energy as it's deposited over there on the right. And this is an oscillating crystal that's vibrating at a certain frequency inside the pendant. And that mixture that's inside has Herkimer diamond, gallium nitride, transition metals, all types of different crystals and minerals. These are a few of them inside. So also, you've been out to our land. I have about 13 vortexes here on a couple hundred acres. And these are the chambers that we've built where we charge the pendants inside these chambers. And in the lower left, that's a close-up of where we're working. At the very center, that's the Stargate. And above that is the 5G over an Aquarian pyramid. We have a lot of spinning forms. Inside the tube, we have frequencies going around that tube as forms spin inside. And the other chamber has about 5, 6, 7 different geometries spinning in it with frequencies going through it. All of this is imparting those energies from higher dimensions into the pendants. And we're also working with the grid system of the planet. This is the grid system. We're located at a particular entry point on our land here in Lyons, Colorado. And that's one reason our guidance chose this land. And we're working with these chambers, turning them on for 24 hours every 3 days, and then it goes off for 24 hours to set up a pulse through the grid of the entire planet. On the opposite side, in the middle of Australia, is Uluru, and we're connected to Uluru. We have forms buried there, right through the center of the earth. We're moving energy in that toroidal fashion, working with it. This is another drawing, a picture of the overlay of the dove from the book, The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak. I've talked to him about this a number of times, where we've seen the energy flowing from the mountains behind our home through our land, and we have forms set up at different places around the US and in the Yucatan. And after I plotted them on a map, I realized they formed this cross of the energies we're working with. And when I put the one in the Yucatan at the end of the ceremony that day, we were driving back to our hotel and realized it was on a full moon eclipse. So again, it was by guidance, we set it up on the full moon eclipse. So this is just measuring the body and what's going on. And here we have someone, before we've done anything with them, all the red zone in the center is where things are shutting down. And after just touching the pendant for 5 minutes, everything comes into the balanced green zone. And Another measure that was done for us was the energy field around the body, where you have breaks and holes. And again, after 5 minutes, not only does everything fill in, but in places where there were holes, there's now even more energy than there was before. So that's what's going on. When you feel good from working with these, that's part of the reason why, because they are shifting your energy field as well as your emotional, mental, and other aspects of reality. So, there, sorry, I wanted to push through at the end, but now you understand what's going on inside those little things around your neck. They're not just pretty pictures, and they're doing something.
Wow, I don't want you to stop, Greg. This is really fascinating.
Well, I've got about 150 more slides, but
We just finished our 6-week class, and he developed this amazing collection of slides. That's where so much of this was coming through. And we're going to take this knowledge and we're going to bring it into a book that will be published next year.
Is that class still available?
It is. It is.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's available on our website through our website, iconnecttoall.com/secrets. But for you and for your wonderful people who are here today and who are following this, we have a special page set up for you that's at iconnecttoall.com/gate.
Oh,
And we've got a slide up. Can we show that slide? And that, if you go in there for the next 2 weeks, you can get a 10% discount on lots of our products that when we were talking to Prageet and Jules, they really wanted you to see not only the pendants, which we're really excited about because they're a new product and bringing in some of these more divine feminine energies. What we've also got a lot of the geometries that we're offering to you as well. So check it out. And also, we're happy to answer questions.
but you have been experiencing the new pendants for a little while. And I think the other day we started talking about the fact that they have two sides.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to pay attention to what side is toward your body, because like we were talking about, we're like a big donut where either the energy is flowing down or it's flowing up. And when you put the star side toward your body, the energy starts flowing up. It's going to be more mental, more focused, higher connection. And when you turn it over, then the other side with the Vesica Pisces, which is really the divine womb, it's the divine mother giving birth to everything. And so that's why we're moving in more and more into the feminine right now, because that's how we're going to reach back into source energy. It's through the feminine. And if I had more time, I could show you the importance of the feminine geometrically. And that's what's on one side of the pendant, which takes us into the earth, into our hearts, into connecting down, which is really good for most of the time, because, you know, especially for us, if we're sailing out there all the time, you need to ground your body or it gets to be very spacey. So
And some people are asking what if we're talking about Metatron's cube or what. Right now, you're talking about these heart companions, and so you're talking about the different
right.
star face and the Earth.
However, look at the star face right now, and what you're seeing is this geometry. Here, I can maybe come in a little closer to it. This geometry is made up of 4 rings. It's a spherical cube octahedron. And when you look at this from different perspectives, here's one perspective, here's another perspective. Here is, let's see, another perspective. There are different perspectives to geometries that when we project them on a flat surface, and in this case, that surface is fiberglass, and then the projection, the pattern is made out of copper, and then we gold plate it again. So again, gold plate it so that it has higher dimensional energy flow. Then what happens is we're able to capture a 3-dimensional energy on a 2-dimensional space. And on the backside of the pendant, in the center, there are 3 geometries, and one of them is capturing Metatron's cube. The other 2 geometries, one is a C60 atom, or molecule, I should say. And then there's another geometry that's similar to the one that you showed at first, Jules. But if you take that geometry and put a cube inside it, then that's the geometry I have around the outside of the backside of the pendant.
Very cool.
So,
Yeah. So can you say something about, I know there's different types of heart companion with different gems. So can you talk about the gemstones and the differences?
okay.
So just so that everyone understands that each of the pendants is the same on the inside. They're all made the same. And then oh, by the way, everything is handmade, and not in China, but in Lyons, Colorado. We start with, like with those heart companions, we start with pieces of stainless steel and actually cut the different sizes and mold them, and then put all these different antenna systems in there. We have a circuit board that is designed with many different sacred geometry forms. And then things on the inside are connected to them. So internally, you have a whole universe of all kinds of wonderful systems that work to enhance the connections that we've been speaking to. On the outside, gems are really wonderful. And, they have natural gems, have fabulous energies. Different gems have different vibrational qualities. And so we offer some different arrays of gems. We start out with as basic as just having one garnet on one face, on the star side face of the pendant that we call just the garnet pendant. And then we have one called the basic that has some cabochon gems. What is it? 4 on one side and 1 on the other. And then we go into the chakra, so that we're working with the stones that are related to our different chakras. And then we have another model that's called the rainbow. And the rainbow has 7 gems on each side. Are you keeping up with me? You're there you go. You're good. You're good at this. And the rainbow has 7 gems on each side, the star face and the earth face. And so not only are they more beautiful, but they also relay a little more energy. It's enhancing the energy of what's inside. And then the pendants that Greg and I are wearing are called the highlight. And the highlight is in many ways similar to the rainbow, but we use some additional gems that are very high vibrational, even more so than in the rainbow, including an option to choose a diamond in the center of the star face. So we give you a lot of different variations, and that way you can choose what works for you. And every one of them is, as I said before, every one of them has all the same systems inside. And when we finish with all the manufacturing, the production of these pendants, they then go into the chamber that Gregory was showing you. Those two chambers are running. And it's amazing that that creates a coherence. And these pendants become so clear and strong and can maintain that energy field that they've been endowed with. So that's kind of, did I wrap it up pretty well for you there?
Yeah, you see, something important is that everything in creation has opportunity to be of service, to give gifts. And the gemstone, the mineral kingdom, it's able to move energy from the fourth dimension where the emotions hang out into the physical dimension. So it's interesting to think of something as cold and hard as a gem being so involved with our emotional body, but they are. And so what they're doing, the energy that we generate in these pendants, the gems are able to move it more easily into the physical and into the chakra systems of the body. That's how we take energy in. And so by working at least with the chakra pendant, I think then you find that everything is activated in your body. And the rainbow has those plus an additional, and so does the other highlight, those 7 plus an additional 7.
And you know, one of the reasons, sorry,
Go ahead.
I'll quickly say this, but one of the reasons that we wanted to make the pendants is we've been creating these wonderful geometries for our environment. And it got to a place where we wanted to produce something that could be a system that people could wear. They could have it with them all the time so that they could stay connected. And the feedback that we get, we have thousands and thousands of these all over the world that we've been selling over these years, because we've been doing this for 37 years together, Gregory and I, even before we met Brigitte. And the stories that we get are just amazing because, as you know, when you are connected, when things are aligned, that's the way life is meant to happen. And just wonderful things happen on every level of life, from physical to emotional to relationships to enhancing purpose, and just quality of life is increased.
I just have a question, Gail. You mentioned cabochons. Would you like to say what that is and the difference?
Yeah, thanks, Brigitte. The cabochon, we offer 2 different kinds of gemstones that we get from our the gem folks that we work with. And the rounded stone is called a cabochon. And so it's a smooth face, it's tumbled rather than cut, and but still the same material, the same natural gem to begin with. The faceted gem is a cut gem, more like a diamond cut. And sometimes that'll radiate a little bit more energy. The actual energy of the stone doesn't really change, whether it's a cabochon or a faceted stone, but some people have a preference for a softer rounded stone or a more cut stone.
And it's not really tumbled, but it's cut in a smooth dome shape, kind of like the front headlight of a car. So it collects the light and just shines it out as one light. Faceted is like all diamonds you see are faceted, so they sparkle. It's just sparklier. So sometimes it's an aesthetic choice, not an energetic one.
Mm.
So we had an interesting question. Someone was wondering how these pendants and crystals work with the planets, if they do.
Okay, so work with the planets. As you were seeing today, when you add the moon and the earth together, you get a certain geometry. Well, that also is a geometry that's working with the phi ratio. Hang on a second. I'm going to, whoops. Well, we survived. This is something that measures the phi ratio. And the first digit of my middle finger to my whole finger is in that ratio. My finger to my hand is in that ratio. My hand to my elbow is in that ratio. Everything organic follows this particular ratio. And so the dance of the moon and the earth together is creating geometries that are dancing with organic life. So understanding that, the question is, what about the pendant? You see, we have probably we have about 8 or 9 different three-dimensional geometries alone that are resonating with the pendant. And these geometries are working with the relationships of the moon and the earth and the sun and the stars and the way they're formed. So when we start diving into some of these geometries, we're diving into resonant frequencies that exist universally. So that's the way you start resonating harmonically with these other elements of creation. And now, when you know that, you can bring your intent, your focus to bear. Because in all of these energies, we keep calling them tools because you're the one that directs the energy. You're the one that decides how that tool can be built. And you are not built, but sent out, how the energy can be worked with. So you call upon it, you focus it, but it's much easier when it's there as a vibrational field, that it makes it easier for you to access, easier for you to work with. But in the end, if we all draw upon the energy of these tools when we want to focus on healing on the planet, um, you know, something that happened once that was interesting. Um, these pendants shift the energy coming into a person dramatically. So you have the frequencies raised, so you're vibrating at a higher frequency. Well, it became very evident a number of years ago. I was um, kind of reading autobiography of Yogi again, reading some chapters, the one about Babaji, one of his predecessors. And after I put the book away, I was going, Gail, Babaji keeps bugging me. What's going on? What's happening? This energy of Babaji just kept poking me, poking me. So Gail tuned in, and as it turns out, he was asking us if he could use the energy that people generate, because the pendants not only raise the vibration of what comes in, it raises the vibration of what comes out. And so he asked if he could use that because people were not using that energy that much, and he could send it to parts of the world where it were needed. And um, you I remember this one grandmother who really brought that to my attention too, when she told me that for her, one of the biggest shifts in the pendant in her life was that before the pendant, her grandkids used to run away from her. But when she started wearing the pendant, they started crawling all over her.
Wow.
Wow.
You see, people don't even realize that the world is in reaction to your energy field.
Yeah.
And when
Right.
your energy field shifts, and so that's why we designed the Pet Connect, and because we started seeing pets react differently. And
Yeah.
you had some experiences I remember you wanted to share.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
your
I'm a huge fan of the Pet Connect. My girlfriend has this dog who is like the cutest puppy. He looks like the emoji dog. Anyway,
dog.
he tends to be like kind of like he's so cute people want to go up to him, but he'll like right, he freaks out. But when we got him a Pet Connect and put it on him, his whole demeanor shifted. He literally was like a noble pup all of a sudden. And he loves it. Like sometimes we take his collar off to, take him to the groomer and he or whatever, but he actually doesn't want us to take his collar off since we've like put the Pet Connect on him. It's really, I mean, it's cool. It's yeah.
And the other thing that I would like you to talk about, you talked about the different faces. Now you said that we can wear them with one face towards the body or the other face. What's the difference there?
Well, that's what I was trying to explain when I said the earth face, the one with the eye on it, the Vesica Pisces, when that's facing your body, the energy starts going down and you start feeling it more in your heart, connecting to the earth, grounded, more relaxing. When the star face is toward your body, like in this image that you're seeing now, the star face is on the left. So when that's facing your body, you're going to feel your energy moving more into your head, into your focus, into higher connection. And it's wonderful for manifesting things, getting things done, focusing. I mean, it starts, this pendant can start shifting your field where we've seen people stop procrastinating so much, start getting more done, start cleaning stuff like, oh, I have to clean my closet. This isn't serving me anymore. This isn't a reflection of my reality. So many people, so many people work with the energies in different ways, but they're finding that one is more focused, the star side, and the other one's more grounding. One's more out there, expansive, as one person talked about, and the other one is bringing the energy in. It's more inclusive, more focused inward. So maybe that's a way to describe the two energies.
And you get both energies when you're wearing it, but there's more of that focus depending on which side you have towards your body. I know for Gregory and I both, the last number of months we've been doing a lot of writing, and having that star face towards our body, it was amazing how focused both of us stayed. We didn't even realize it. Because these are subtle energies, sometimes you don't always realize what's happening until afterwards, and you go, whoa, that was pretty amazing. And I'm tired now. I need to ground and turn it on the other side. So really interesting with the, particularly with this star face, that seems to have a very, very dynamic response to creative abilities and a lot of clarity and focus and the ability to stay very, very much on target.
Mm.
And it's with the new one in particular, I like the star face. The older pendant, the predecessor to this one that you had, I found the energy was a little too sharp for me at times. It would just be too much, too ragged. But the new one is much more working with the divine feminine. So it's much softer. And I just love the feeling of the star face on my body. It's more whole and incorporating.
There's a question there for you from Fadia.
Can wearing the Heart Connect help in healing the body from disease like cancer, diabetes, etc.? That's a wonderful question. And like Gregory was showing earlier, that everything is energy. And when we're blocking that natural flow of energy, that's where a lot of things go off. We cannot obviously make any claims about this as being a healing tool. What we can say is it helps you be more connected. And so it might mean that whatever the issues are that you're dealing with, that you are more likely to find resolution. You're more likely to find, whether it's the medical intervention or the working with exercise and how you approach your life. There's a lot of different ways that things can be resolved. And, Spirit really wants us to receive what is here for us. And the more that we are connected, the more we can receive what is really in perfect alignment with our higher being. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
And another one from Yarrow.
I wish we could, but it's just it's just too much. I mean, we would have to literally tear it all apart and rebuild with a new one, with new plates, new insides.
One thing that we can do with the older versions is if you would like to send it to us, we can put it through our chamber, and the chambers have just recently been revised and updated. And any of our heart companions and iConnects will hold that energy field. But it won't be the same as the new one, but it would be the next best thing that we can offer you with that particular pendant. And it's interesting. Recently, I got an email from a woman who has a lot of our tools, and she actually likes to wear, like she said, I'll wear as many as 5 pendants on my body at one time. That's pretty interesting. And she said, but you know what's happened? She said, I'm reversing the aging process. So
Yeah.
hey, if she's doing that, awesome. What a great opportunity. And we also know people who have gotten new pendants and they're taking their old one and they're using it at night to sleep with and work with their dreams. And so there's a lot of different applications that are available to you that way.
And people will notice a difference in energy flow where if they have pains on their body or arthritic pain and swelling and so forth, that's reduced in working with the pendant, placing it on different places. And we work with the C60 molecule, take it internally as a supplement. We have a company we work with, and also work with it as the form. And that helps with arthritis and pain, especially now that I'm moved past my mid 70s. I'm wanting to feel that energy in my body, and all of these tools are definitely helping.
Right on.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're well over our expected time, but that's very, very often the case.
Yeah.
That was really, really fascinating and a delight. And I think the course that you've briefly mentioned goes into a lot more detail. Is that right?
It
yeah.
does. It's called Universal Secrets Revealed. And we wanted to take this information and help people understand how universe is created. And as Gregory was exploring it, learning more and more of how important sacred geometry is to how all of creation has evolved. So the more that we understand that, the more we see ourselves as part of that and are then empowered and feeling connected to all of that. And I think Greg's done a really awesome job of putting that information out. It's real interesting, lots of great slides. We always do a meditation at the beginning so that we can, just kind of, as you know, come together, center, and be ready to take in the knowledge and the energy that goes with it.
Fantastic. Tell us
Yeah.
again how we can access.
So it's iconnecttoall.com. That's the number 2 in there, like you saw earlier. But rather than /gate, and /gate will give you a wonderful page where you have 10% off on lots of our products. But instead of gate, just put in secrets, plural, SECRETS, and that will take you to the page that will tell you more about our program and give you access to enrolling for that.
And and then, some of these geometries, it's like when they're spinning, this is what we work with when we're working with our meditations and so forth, is just showing how the energy, it just starts projecting that energy, working with that energy. And so we have a lot of fun with these forms as they move and generate fields.
It's really nice. We can feel that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to go back?
Well, thank you both so much for spending this time with us.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for your generosity and in welcoming us into your group. There's just so many beautiful, beautiful souls that I know are working with you and on their path to making a difference.
And thank you for the work that you're doing. I know that we've talked before about how as the acceleration in consciousness happens, these tools are actually becoming stronger.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
It's like the energies are opening up, our intuition is increasing, and these tools become stronger because those energies, those divine energies, are being clarified and moving into the planet more and more and more. So,
and this is what we showed up for. This is what we signed up for.
yeah, it's all timing.
Yeah. I could have done without some of the earlier years of struggle, but I'm glad we're here now.
We had a lot to learn. Let's put it that way, right?
And still, so much.
Okay,
but it's wonderful to play together and recognize that we're a family. Every single being out there, that we're not doing this alone, and that by harmonizing with universal principles, we're harmonizing with each other, because that's the reason we've come into a human body, to be of service to all and to expand that human body at this time into an inclusive field that recognizes everything, everyone around this planet as part of that family.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you once more.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we send our love and blessings to the two of you and to everyone in your community and beyond.
Much appreciated. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.